job numbers for October have come out, and employers added 571,000 jobs, beating expectations of around 400,000. Now, a few notes to pay attention to as you dive into these numbers. While overall it looks like a great positive sign for the economy, for the jobs market, when you look into the numbers a little bit more deeply, I think it illuminates a trend that we've been talking about for a few weeks here at Daggerfinn that shows maybe that there's a deeper employer brand issue at work. But here are some stats to pay attention to. So the heaviest gains of the 571,000 were in large companies. So 342,000 of the 571K were in large companies. And a lot of the gains are skewing service sector. So 458K of the 571K were in the service sector. Hospitality and leisure were only 185K. So one of the things that we've talked about in prior episodes is that the bigger companies, the companies that traditionally are more attractive to employees, aren't facing the same level of difficulty accessing the labor markets that when you compare it to smaller companies or mid-sized companies. And what you're seeing is a bifurcation of the workforce where there's a lot of liquidity at the top end of the ladder, where the large companies have the pick of who they want in terms of the talent they bring into the organization. And they're almost hiring at a luxury such that, they can bring on the most talented or the most attractive workers and really take the pick of the litter. And the rest of the economy is really struggling to kind of unlock certain areas of the economy or the labor force that aren't as inclined or as motivated to work. We've talked previously about the 55 plus age cohort and how unlocking that 1.5 million people could be a nice benefit to companies. But you're also dealing with a lot of people who have retired. You're dealing with a lot of people who are just sitting on the sidelines because of all the money that's been pumped into the system in the last 18 months. You're dealing with a lot of people who've transitioned to gig work as a result of cost basis coming down, right? For a lot of the younger workforce who haven't accumulated families and kids and mortgages and payments, I think there's been a great reassessment over the last 18 months around whether people want to go to work or not, and you're seeing that reflected at especially the lower wage jobs where there's a real struggle to fill those kinds of roles. So when I look at this number, it's definitely a good sign. Of course, it's always great to be adding jobs, but what does this mean for the total number of jobs that are going to be unfilled? Is that growing too as a function of this? Do we need to start thinking about where people are going in terms of companies? I think the fact that 2/3 or nearly three-fourths of this batch here are going to large companies, and then even a higher percentage of that going to the service sector. Like, what happens to the rest of the economy in terms of where the job growth is happening? And I think these are important things to think about as we see this number and think about the future of our workforce here in the States and globally. And then also as practitioners of employer brand, how we think about how to unlock areas of the workforce that we need to make sure that our organizations are set up well for the future.